Hello and welcome to the Kelcast, the Hearthstone Arena podcast, where we try to get better without cursing. I'm Keldor, a longtime arena player and streamer on Twitch, and joining me as my co-host is another leaderboard player, Tradeable. Remember, if you want to find us on social media, you can search Keldar on Twitch, YouTube, or Twitter. That's Keludar. And if you want to find the podcast, you can search the Kelcast on Google, or you can put it on YouTube. Anyway, as long as you search Keldar, you'll find us, and you'll find all the links on whatever way you want to listen to the content. Also want to remind you that please do like, subscribe, and comment on the videos. Things like that really help us get seen. So if you can just follow it or give a good rating, that whatever, like I said, whatever medium it is, that is also super helpful. All right, Kellen, so what are we going to talk about this week?
Well, it's the dawn of a new set. United in Stormwind comes out in a couple weeks, and we are actually really excited about the one mechanic, the one big mechanic that's relevant to Arena. It's well, we'll get into it in a second, but we're going to discuss the new mechanics that are coming out and what United in Stormwind means for Arena players.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So last week we rounded up the Grand Arena tournament, and if you guys did not catch it, we did 4 episodes where we took we took the best 64 cards in Arena and put them in a March Madness style tournament, and it was awesome. We had Dreads, Adwalked, and Merps. We had a lot of fun.
We had Isherwood involved too,
and Isherwood was in the first round. Yes, so I really recommend, if it's something really cool to look back for. If you don't have a ton of time, I guess I would say maybe just focus on the finals. There's a link to the bracket below him. But also be careful if you click on that link that you don't spoil yourself, because some people actually don't want to know who won or whatever. So I'm not going to shout it out here. But anyway, that's kind of the stuff we've been doing recently. So make sure you check that out on, again, you can catch it anywhere. And this week we're going to talk about the new expansion. So pretty awesome. Yeah, it's going to be released on, I think it's August 3rd. Am I right?
Yeah, I believe that's true. Yeah.
And we have a new mechanic to talk about. What is it, Kellen?
Well, before we get into the real one that we actually want to discuss, let's just go over mounts really quick. Mounts are spells that are basically they're Spike Ridge Steed. If you've played with Spike Ridge Steed before, you've played with a mount. It's a card that gives a minion a buff, and then when that minion dies, you get a creature or a minion of some type. And each class has their own. It's going to be all different. We don't know what each one looks like yet, but it's not really a mechanic exactly, but it's a theme that's going to run. It's kind of like the watch posts, where in and of itself it's not a mechanic, but it's something you'll be seeing, and it'll affect the arena by making it more important to kill your opponent's minions on before they're able to attack with them. Second, we have quest lines. Quest lines are legendary spells. I don't even know if they'll be in Arena. I kind of doubt it based on the previous experience with quests, but they're quests that start in your opening hand. Once you play them, you have to do a certain task, and once you accomplish that task, you get a new version of that quest, and so on and so on until you get the final reward, which is always game breaking and very powerful. It seems like these are more likely to be in Arena than the other ones, but I still am not sure if they'll show up. Either way, they're legendary, so it's not really something we'll discuss too much on the pod. However, there is Tradeable, and Tradeable is one of the most important mechanics that's ever come out for Arena. I mean, I've never seen anything that's going to influence deck building, curve, and late game as much as this one mechanic. I personally am hoping it becomes a mechanic they print every set. In Magic, we call that evergreen mechanics. In Hearthstone, we don't have a name for it exactly yet, but I'm hoping it's something we see like Rush, like Reborn, or I guess Reborn's not too common, but cards that you see. Oh, Death Rattle's an example. So cards that you see every set. I love the idea of Tradeable, and what it is any card that has Tradeable is basically a choose one spell. When you cast it, or card, whatever it is, when you play the card from your hand, you have an option between the card itself and 1 mana to remove that card from your hand and draw a card instead, and it shuffles back into your deck. So you can basically cycle it if you've ever played Magic or any other game. And what it is a hand smoothing mechanic. It's a mechanic that allows you to trade a card in your hand that does not fit your curve or your plan or whatever, doesn't work in that situation, isn't big enough for what stage the game is at, and gives you an opportunity to draw a card that is more efficient for your game plan, your strategy, your curve. Some ways you can use Tradeable, or if you're on turn 1, you don't have a play, but you have a Tradeable card and you have a 2-drop and a 4-drop, say, you need a 3-drop, right? So I would pitch that Tradeable card, look for a 3-drop, and if you find it, great, but you're getting yourself 1 card deeper to filling out your curve and getting yourself better set up for the late game. Another simple way to use it is on turns when you're having that 1 excess mana, but let's say you have 2 4-drops and one of them has Tradeable. On turn 4, you play a 4-drop. On turn 5, let's say you play Oh, that's a bad example. Let's say you have 3 4-drops and one of them is tradable. You play a turn 4 a 4-drop, turn 5 you play a 4-drop, and use that extra mana to trade the third one away because you're not going to be able to use that turn. So it's things like that. Maybe you have 2 4-drops, one of them is tradable, and on turn 3 you only have a second 2-drop. So you play a 2-drop, that last mana, you're not going to be able to play both 4-drops. You trade one away. Now your curve is set up, and you have a better opportunity for having a 5 or a 6 or whatever comes next. There are just so many ways that this simplifies your curve and the future of the game. It sets you up. It removes cards you don't need in a bad matchup. I can't describe how small this mechanic is and how important it is at the same time. It's going to be incredible for making all of your decks better. So I'm going to put a high value on it. What do you think?
Well, I'm really excited because I do agree that I would love to see this mechanic potentially be a kind of the next Discover where you see it in multiple sets. And the reason why is it actually really opens up a door for tech cards in a way in Arena that you normally couldn't. So for instance, there's a card in here, Tradeable, that gains 8 armor, right? Pretty bad, like, right? But if it's an Arena deck, and I know I'm stretching it here a little bit, but if you have an Arena deck and you're a slower deck, if you can just trade that every time for 1 mana, like maybe that 8 armor isn't quite as useless as it normally would be because, in late game in Arena, like 1 mana is nothing. So once you get to the 10 mana spot or even 7 or 8 mana, like spending 1 mana to trade a card
or just
is
an
not
awkward
that big.
turn even.
Right.
Yeah.
There's also another one here. There's a Rust Strahd Viper that's a 3 mana 3/4 that destroys your opponent's weapon. Now, honestly, in Arena, you're probably going to keep that 3/4 more often than not. But again, like being able to take tech cards and trade them, it really opens up design space because, like I said, normally a card that just like healed or just gained armor, that stuff would just honestly just be a terrible, terrible, terrible card most times. And it still is not great. But in a situation where you can trade it, it becomes a lot better for sure.
Absolutely.
So I think that's one aspect of it that I really like. I like the design aspect of it because, again, like if you print these cards that are just kind of so situational, like again, gaining 8 armor is really only good in very small situations. And again, these I'm talking about the really bad ones, but even there's one that's a 3/3 rush, right? So like you have a 3/4 in your hand and you have a 3-drop, and it's like, hey, like I don't really need this rush right now, but like, man, I really don't have a 4-drop, so maybe I want to trade that in so I can fill my curve better. But like you said, like setting up your curve better situationally. Sometimes, like I said, there's one that's called Fire Sale that's a AoE. Now, here's one thing to remember though. It's kind of fair because your opponent sees the card when it goes in the deck. So let's say
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Fire Sale, right, is a 3 damage AoE. So like, although it's kind of interesting, you can play some mind games. Like you throw it in there, and now they know that at some point you're going to draw this card, right? But they have no clue if it's the next turn or if it's 10 or 15 turns. So you might, there could be things like that could affect the game in ways that are a little bit more unseen. So really interesting. I do have a little bit. I really, again, I do hope they actually decide to. This one, I think there's a chance they might continue it because they put like a little, like almost like a recycling little symbol in the top left for these tradable cards. So they actually invested like, I guess they've done that in the past and not continued the mechanic. But I do think that's a chance.
I think one of the things that's so unique about this mechanic is it doesn't specifically work with other cards in the set. It works independent of the themes and mechanics of United and Stormwind. It's a thing that works on its own, whether you're playing within this format or not. And that gives me hope that it will, just like Rush, just like Death Rattle, you're always going to be putting those abilities on cards because no matter what set it is, doesn't matter if the set has a Death Rattle theme. Your Death Rattle cards just work. They just do 2 things, and that's good. Rush cards are always good because they just do one thing, or they're just a card that you always want to have. So my hope is they reprint it. If they don't, I'll be sad, but I'll always be happy when United and Stormwind comes back into the rotation, assuming the rest of the set is acceptable. The other thing I wanted to mention about Tradeable is the better you are at Hearthstone, the better Tradeable will be because it's giving you more options. And anytime you have a lot of options, the higher your skill level, the better you will perform with those cards because making decisions is what makes you a better Hearthstone player. So the more decisions you have, the better you'll perform. And I think that's an important little aspect of Tradeable. It's a high skill cap ability. I mean, I certainly can foresee games where I I pitched Fire Sale, and it turns out to be a massively wrong decision. And if someone better than me was in the same situation, they would have ended up keeping that Fire Sale. And even though they did have that extra mana on a turn earlier or something, and it will result in a much better, a win where I would have lost, or the other way around. It's one of those abilities that seems so unimportant. It's one mana, and all you're doing is trading a card for another one, but its actual implications and its ability to make games go the way that you expect them or want them to is massive. And it's easy to look at this and kind of throw it away as a random, a side ability, whatever. But it's a lot more than that.
Yeah, I don't know if you mentioned this. You talk so fast. I love you, Kellen, but you talk so fast sometimes I can't process everything you say. So if I repeated you, I'm really sorry. But but I was going to say one thing I really like is like there's little micro, like you were talking about skill cap, right? And there's like little micro decisions. Like for instance, one thing I'm thinking about is like a situation where like you have a 4-drop and a 5-drop, and you could either play the 4-drop and try to get, like maybe your turn 6 is in there, right? So like you have a 4-drop and a 5-drop, and it's like I have the decision to either drop a curve drop that's a little more tempo, or I can play my 4-drop and I can draw now because I might not be able to draw later. Like stuff like that. I think there's going to be some really interesting dynamics. And honestly, like you said, this will be really great in Arena. I don't really know how much this will really impact ladder. It doesn't seem like one of those mechanics that will, in my opinion, be like really rampant in ladder, but I could be wrong. There might be some nutty ones that are.
Well, I think the spot where it's good is exactly where you were talking about with those cards that are situational. I think that's going to be where it really shines, because having 8 armor in a matchup against an aggro deck is great. Having 8 armor in a matchup against a control deck is awful. But having access to that could be very important against a deck that runs Lava Burst to the face, or I know that's not.
And you don't want to play that early on. You want to play your tempo cards to contest their board first, and then maybe draw it later. So it is really an interesting mechanic, and I do think that it's one of the more. I didn't hate Frenzy. Frenzy actually has been a really good mechanic for Arena because there's been some really odd situations where you have to think about order and stuff. Order is always an interesting Arena thing because there's always a mix of millions of mechanics from all these different sets all at one time. So
yeah, I thought Frenzy was going to be pretty bad because
I did too.
I get to make the decision on when my opponent's Frenzy triggers, but it turned out that because there was such high toughness on the Frenzy minions, it ended up being more interesting than I expected. I still don't love it. I don't think it's a bad mechanic or anything, but it was fun for a set, but I wouldn't want to see it every set. So Tradeable is different, where I would love to see it every single time because all it does is make it easier to play the game.
Yeah, for sure. And we get some. Really, we haven't got a lot of the cards yet, like I said, so we can't do a card review quite yet. But just so you guys know the cadence of what'll be coming up, the expansion releases on August 3rd. I'm just gonna triple check that. I just took the window down. Son of a biscuit. Oh, there it is. Just want to make sure I got the date. Oh, they didn't put the date on there. Sorry, I'm looking at a window chat. Oh, there it is. Yes, August 3rd. Okay, I shouldn't doubt myself, but I just wanted to be sure I wasn't giving bad information.
Have faith in yourself, Kel.
I try. I mean, it's a lot of information. I've been playing so many patches, my brain is fried. So yeah, I'm really excited about this set. I think that they definitely stepped back. Last year's set was the power level of all 3 sets was just like beyond insane, and it does feel. So from what's been revealed, it feels like they've taken a small step back, a little bit on the power level, or at least not increasing it so much. So that's good. But I think it's going to be really exciting. Like I said, we'll do a card review the week before, so probably like the last week of July, which will be like probably I guess like 2 podcasts from now, or it might actually be 3 podcasts.
But we'll do that whole card review. We do it every time, and we're going to do it this time too.
Yeah, we're going to get under 3. Our guarantee is under 2.5 hours. Like
we're the best at it.
Maybe we can start squeezing it under 2, because when I watched, I love Merpson and walked around last week, and man, their card reviews are like an event. I do it every set. Every Sunday it's so funny. The Sunday before every expansion, I go I order a special food or get something prepared, and I get my laptop and I sit down and I watch them torture themselves for 8 or 9 hours. It's the ridiculous. Same thing every time. But we're gonna do it shorter.
It's great.
So
it's good information, but we like to get the info out fast and make sure you have time to listen to the whole thing.
And actually do other things with your life and not take up a whole day like it does for mine. But I love those guys. I'm not putting them down. Just joking. But Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. I think next week we might do some. We might talk a little bit more about the meta's kind of getting stale again. If you guys haven't been following, Warrior, Druid, and Demon Hunter are on top with Priest, and Rogue, and maybe we can talk a little bit about some of the classes a little bit. We really actually
I'd love to talk about Druid. Yeah, I'd love to talk about Druid a little bit. I've had a lot of fun playing Druid.
We haven't really talked about meta stuff. There was a micro adjustment basically after they did. There was a micro adjustment after they did the mini set, but we didn't really get to talk about the meta much because we jumped right into the Grand Arena tournament. So it sort of threw off our cadence a little bit, but we're going to get right back into it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's going to do it for the Kelcast, guys. But like I said, you can catch us every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, or you can download the podcast wherever you get them every Monday. That's going to do it for the 24th episode. Remember, you can also find me on Twitch, where I stream daily, and you can also find me on YouTube or Twitter by searching Keludar. That's Keludar. Make sure you tune in next week. Like I said, we'll talk a little bit about the meta and some of the classes, maybe talk a little bit of tips about some of the classes that are struggling as well, things that we've discovered, and also give a thanks out to John Laux for the music used in the episode. You can find all links to the contributors in the show notes. This has been the Kelcast. I'll see you next week. All right.
Okay, Kel. Okay.
Right.
Go.
Wait,
I want to hear yours. Please tell me. Tell me.
Ashes of Creation is fucking awesome. I fucking love it. It's so good. I love it. And I'm so excited
because you're a paid advertiser.
Oh, I am definitely an advertiser. I mean, obviously I backed the game, and I just love it. Everything about that game is so fun. And if you guys like MMORPGs, I'm telling you, I always get hyped about the next one. I'm not gonna lie. Every game that comes out, I think it's gonna be the next big thing, right? But no, this one, I'm telling you, this is an Alpha 1 test. You can actually fall, if you guys haven't, even if you're not gonna watch me after the stream, whatever, you can look it up. It'll be up for all this, I guess, this weekend, and then starting on Wednesday, it's gonna be a month-long thing. So basically, between Wednesday and Sunday every week, you can go and there'll be tons of people streaming it on Twitch because the community, every single one of the people in the community think they're going to be the next Asmongold. So, you can literally, there's going to be 3,000 streams up every week. So
oh my God.
you can, if you don't catch me, you can catch someone else. But one thing I'm really excited about is that I was nervous about them dropping the NDA because this is the first time that people can see the game, because this is like bare bones. There's servers are like, they're just testing servers and they're testing like gameplay mechanics and all that crap. So like it's like there's no quest, there's very, very few quests, there's very few things to do, there's like little content. And I was worried that it would come out and people were going to be like, what, this game sucks, because there's not, but that's the whole thing, is that they're just testing the servers and stuff, and I was worried people wouldn't understand that. But the response has been like super positive. And I will tell you one last little tidbit. What I love about this community is the devs, literally the game developers, like the person that created the game came into my stream when I had like 5 viewers. And they came in and said hello and checked me out, and then they retweeted my stuff. They're such a cool community. It's a great community. So anyway, if you like MMORPGs, I'm giving you a recommendation. Look into it. You can watch my channel for it because I'll be playing it a lot on top of Arena. So that's it. I just want to tell you it's really awesome.
All right, Kel. Well, I'll see you next week for
right.
I can't wait to talk classes. I'm ready to go. I'll see you then.
All right, see you.